Hello students, the second part of the chapter colonialism and the countryside. I told you about the East India Company because many a times I have seen students are very much confused between the colonialism, the colonial government and the East India Company, and by now you must have known that East India Company was a trading company that was sent to India and that was well established by 1757, establishing its two offices in the country, Board of Directors and Board of Control. East India Company was first of all established in Bengal because Bengal was a large province at that time. In your class 10th topics you must have read about the growth of Calcutta, because Calcutta was the center of trade at that time for the East India Company, and they developed it. So in Bengal they were established, the East India Company. And I also told you that the main intention of the East India Company was to derive maximum revenue from the rural areas, from the peasants, because this was the period when there were zamindars, and particularly in Bengal the zamindars were very, very strong. They were very, very influential, and they were working according to their own norms, old traditions. They were asking the peasants to grow crops, and they were deriving revenue from them, taking taxes from them. They had a number of mahallas or estates, and the owners of these mahals or states, they were known as rajas. Correct? So a new revenue system was brought by the East India Company, because East India Company could not tolerate the traditional rule that was going on in India and the power of the zamindars. Remember that Britishers could never tolerate that any other, apart from them, apart from the Britishers, any other, particularly Indian section, would become very strong in the country. So a new revenue system was introduced. It was told to the zamindars that if zamindars are not able to pay revenue to the East India Company in time, then their land would be auctioned. Auction means the land would be put, it was a public event, all the people could come over there, it was a public event, and there the land was put to auction and it was sold to the highest bidder. The person used to give the highest bid, the land was sold to him. Correct? So there was system of auction of land, and the Bardwa was auctioned in this way, and if the zamindars, if they failed to pay revenue, their land was put to auction, and that started from Bengal. So in Bengal there was resentment, people became angry, particularly the richer section, the zamindars. They were very unhappy, they were very upset, and there was problem of unpaid revenue, because lots of revenue was unpaid, because previously when East India Company was not there, I told you that traditionally they used to collect revenue, and peasants were happily, they were paying it according to the harvest. If there is crop failure, then there could be a relaxation for them. If it is a surplus crop, then they could raise it a bit. So this was going on in the country. So the officials of the company, they realized it very clearly that it will pose a threat to their financial condition, to their economy, and they wanted to derive more and more money from the rural areas. And for that, they had to adopt certain measures, certain revenue systems, so as to derive more and more money from the country in the rural areas. Clear? Because in the previous lecture also I told you that although it was a trading company, but it was interfering in all the matters of India, even agriculture. And India at that time was more than 72% people fed upon agriculture at that time. So they introduced, finally, because to tackle the problem of unpaid revenue, they introduced permanent settlement. It is a long answer in your board exam. What do you mean by permanent settlement? So this was a new revenue system that was introduced by the company in India, according to which the officials of the company, they did not brought themselves clearly into the picture to collect the revenue from the peasants, and moreover, instead of that, they asked the zamindars to collect revenue from the farmers on regular basis, and then the amount that they will pay to the company was fixed. Correct? Zamindars were asked to collect revenue from the farmers time to time. The times were fixed, the intervals were fixed. They will collect revenue from the farmers. To the company's officials, they have to pay a fixed amount. All the detail was kept by the company's officials, that how much land is there and how much revenue is to be paid by a particular zamindar. Correct? So these lands or the zamindars, under the permanent settlement, what they did, now they also, I told you that they were a very strong section of the society, financially also and socially and politically also, they were very, very influential and strong. So now they thought, when company came to India, they thought what will happen to their income, because their income was, again it was threatened. So what they did, I told you that the company put a fixed amount of revenue on the zamindars that they have to pay to the company. So what they did, what the zamindars and the landlords did, they used to derive more and more taxes from the peasants, more and more revenue from the peasants. But to the company, they had to pay only a fixed amount. They paid a fixed amount to the company, and rest of the money they kept in their own pocket. And they became richer day by day. So this was a way which they themselves they found it and they carried it out. Collected revenue, to the company they had to pay a fixed amount only, and rest of the money they kept in their own pocket. Now, you know, this thing could not be hidden from the Britishers for a long time. After some time, company's officials came to know that this is going on in the country. Okay, so there was failure of permanent settlement. Okay, because there was high demand of revenue. Zamindars and the landlord, they were demanding again and again rising revenue from the people. Moreover, in 1790s, there was agricultural prices depression. Agriculture price depression, because agriculture is such an activity which depends on many factors. In some cropping season, crop is very good. In certain cropping season, it is not. So 1790s was the year in which there was agricultural depression. Farmers could not pay revenue. So again, there was problem of unpaid revenue. First of all, high revenue demand, and then there was crisis, there was depression in agriculture. Moreover, because Britishers were foreigners and they were unaware about the system, about the condition going on in India, they never cared about the harvest. They never cared about what is the fertility of the, what is the degree of fertility of land, or what are the other circumstances that are going on in the life of the peasants, in the life of the farmers. So they were not bothered about it, they were not careful about all this. So after some time, the permanent settlement came to be seen as a system in which zamindars and landlords were becoming richer day by day. And I told you that the company introduced permanent settlement to derive more and more money for themselves. So the motive was not solved. So they called the peasants rayats. That was a term given to the peasants at that time, rayat. And after some time, when permanent settlement, they saw that it is a failure, they introduced the Rayatwadi system. Both the revenue systems are very important for your board examination. So Rayatwadi system was introduced, in which the mediators were outset. Mediators, that is the landlords and the zamindars, they were outset, means they were turned away, and the rayats were asked directly to pay their revenue to the British officials, not to pay their revenue to any mediator, not to pay revenue to any other official, but directly to the company, directly to the official British officials. Rayatwadi system, a direct connection between the company and the rayats, that is peasants. Correct? So such type of revenue systems were introduced, and there was rise of jotedars. Now we will discuss who were jotedars. Jotedars were rich peasants, particularly rich in North Bengal. Jotedars, they had big pieces of lands, and in certain, like in the previous lecture I told you about the Rajmahal hills, about the areas of Bengal the forest areas where still people carried on shifting agriculture, and they were unaware about the plough, and they were still using the old methods of agriculture, that is hoe, doe, digging stick. You know about it, hoe, doe and digging stick, digging sticks to carry on their agricultural operations. And shifting agriculture was prominent in the hilly regions also, in the plains also. Then there was rise of jotedars. These jotedars were very, very rich peasants, and they were the owners of the land, and they themselves did not till their land, but their land was tilled by the small owners, or by the landless peasants, or by those peasants who had lost their land for any other reason, either for the revenue reason or any other reason. Correct? Later on, this system of auction was so carried on that when the zamindars, or when the rich peasants, when they failed to pay the revenue, I told you that their land was put to auction after a particular time period. They were warned that their land would be put to auction. In some places in Bengal, even a day's delay was considered to be that land would be put to auction. Even a day, 1 day delay. Correct? So what they began to do, they began to transfer their land to the women of the family, because women were still, they were respected, and they were not brought in the public events like in the auction ceremonies, etc. So they used to transfer their land in the name of the women at home, and then later on, obviously later on, they are only indirectly, or previously directly, and now indirectly they were the part of it. Or in some examples, the historians tell us, in some examples, when the land was put to auction, the zamindars and the rich landlords, they used to give certain amount of money to their working people, servants, small peasants, so that they could bid when the land is put to auction, and in the bid they could pronounce the highest bid, and the land is purchased by the particular person who is under the zamindar or under the landlord, and then again indirectly the land was inhabited by the landlord and zamindars. So all these tactics, they were learned by the Indian peasants, rich peasants of India, zamindars and landlords, just because of the repressive policies of the East India Company. Because these zamindars and landlords, they wanted to retain their land at any cost. And these jotedars, they introduced the plough, and that was also known as the ploughshare technology. The iron plough was introduced, and there was a rivalry, there was a conflict between hoe and plough, because I told you the older communities, they were still depending on hoe, old methods of farming, and these rich jotedars, rich peasants known as jotedars, they introduced the iron plough. So like this, the agricultural operations went on in the countryside, correct? And the revenue system of the company, it also continued time to time. Rayatwadi system continued a bit better than the permanent settlement according to the peasants, okay, and according to the historians. Then came the fifth report. All these things were brought in the matter of politics. A report which is famous as the fifth report, in which all these incidents were discussed, the policies, the auction policies, the bidding policies, they were discussed. It is a report of 1002 pages, and this fifth report, that was published in India, and then the company's rule, the rule of the East India Company continued in the country. Tomorrow we will discuss the further topics of this chapter. Go through all these topics and prepare your notes. Thank you, students.